Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube video. In this video, I drive the Renault Trucks T in Euro Truck Simulator 2. Now, I'm hauling this curtainsider which I own in the game, and it's a bit raining outside. The curtainsider has got two steering axles at the back and a non-steering axle at the front. Well, not the front of the trailer, but the frontmost axle. And the tractor is a Renault Trucks T range T, and it's got 460 horsepower, comfort cab. I actually quite like the Renault Trucks badge they put on. By the way, Renault Trucks, I don't think they're owned by Renault, so it's not as Frenchy as Renault cars. They're owned by Volvo, I think, which is funny. The chassis on the yeah, it has got a liftable axle. The second one, it's 6x2/4, and the transmission or gearbox is a Renault OptiDriver 12-speed automated with retarder. Now I'm driving with this Logitech G920. Is it 920? I think. The steering wheel. Right, now let's start the engine. I'll start it from the inside and then I'll start it from the outside when I load the cargo. It sounds a bit dodgy. I'm currently in Birmingham. Yep, I got it in right-hand drive. You see the handbrake is a bit... I didn't apply the handbrake when I parked. What a bad driver. The handbrake is a bit electronic, just like the Volvo. Now the Scania also made electronic handbrake on the L series, and I think also the P series, the new ones. I'm not sure about the S or R series, but yeah, I think we're moving towards electronic handbrake, and Merc as well. I think the new Actros with mirror cam. Oh well, I don't know. To be honest, these cameras, I mean these mirrors, work a bit like mirror cam. So if you want absolute mirror cam feature, you can just go in Euro Truck Simulator 2, and there's absolutely no air resistance in there, so it doesn't really matter. Well, there is, not that you can do anything about it. But reducing air resistance in Euro Truck Simulator 2 won't save you actual energy. So, right, let's get some market thing. I'm not relying on the internet because it's dodgy. You can own trailers in Euro Truck Simulator 2 now. I think this is the first video, ETS 2 video that I do, which you can own trailers. And depending on the type of trailer you can have refrigerators, you can have dry profile thing, whatever that's called. But now I've got curtainsider, so I think it's good for pallets, even though I don't think these goods are properly packed on the pallet. So I'm taking a job from... I'll try to stay inside Great Britain. Birmingham to Birmingham, that's boring. Birmingham to Sheffield with ketchup. 15 tons. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, and they also made voice navigation. Actually, there are quite a lot of new things in this video compared to the last ETS2 I did, which was ages ago. I am using the new intro which I made, which is brilliant. And I'm driving the Renault T, which has not existed before, even though it's been a while. It's just not in my last ETS2 video. And the sat-nav I just talked about, yeah, it now has voice navigation. There is a female one, but that voice, they use the same person, male and female, they use the same person to make... Right now, let's get going. To make the both UK and US voice, and the female UK sound, it just sounds like an American person faking British accent, and that sounds weird, which is why I haven't used it. Even though I normally prefer female voice for any announcement sort of things. Well, I've got 460 horsepower on board. And no external, but I mean on board as in on this thing. There's no external power coming. Actually, let me just redo my headphones because it's a bit weird. Hang on. Now my headphone cable may touch the microphone, so apology for that if you hear any scratchy weird noise. I'm having my microphone on my I'm having my microphone on my collar. Right now I'm driving with this steering wheel thing, which is a bit fun and a bit dodgy because the way I look around is through these pedally things behind the steering wheel. I mean, technically I can use the buttons on the numeric keypad to press an already set preview. Right, haven't been trucking in a while, well, haven't been trucking it on YouTube in a while to be more specific. So let's talk something about trucks, or lorries as I prefer to call them.
At the roundabout, take the second exit.
Actually, I'm no good at driving and talking, you probably know that already. This lorry, Renault Trucks T. Renault Trucks T. One thing I don't really like about it is that the dashboard, it hasn't got a needly speedometer. I'm not going to say analog because the needly ones nowadays are mostly electronic.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Right. I'd better turn on my lights.
Turn left.
But I've heard that this one,
you have arrived at your destination.
It won.
Your route guidance is now finished.
It won International Truck of the Year. Well, technically, every truck that has been manufactured by one of those 7 truck manufacturers, lorry manufacturers in the UK, sorry, in Europe, has won some sort of International Truck of the Year award. So there's nothing special about it. But from what I've heard, the cab is quite comfortable. So now let's have a look. No sheet. Though it looks a bit dodgy in game, but in reality it should look much better. Right, now let's get back inside the cab. In reality, this truck comes with Renault OptiDriver, which is an automated gearbox. I don't know where the gear selector is. It's probably not down there. Behind the it's probably behind the steering column. Well, on the steering column, behind the steering wheel. I've also set some buttons on my game controller, so I would need to be pressing that, and I'm going to reverse my trailer on there, and instead of pressing T, I need to press enter. Hang on, that's a bit bad. Let me check my arse. Because you know, the frontmost axle of the trailer is the non-steering axle, so everything behind that is going to go to the right when I turn left, which is why I need to be careful with this not hitting that. That's one of the things about driving lorries in Europe. A similar thing happens when you drive the Mercedes-Benz capacity, Mercedes-Benz capacity. That thing has got some long R's as well. But in reality, if you drive the capacity, you get cameras that look that help you look through that. I think I talked about it when I drove in on Z2 a long time ago. So in reality, that thing is easier to drive than in the game, but technically in reality anything is easier to drive than in the game. Because if it was easier to drive in the game, then the vehicles of the reality are going to have buttony and joysticky controls instead of steering wheels and levers. Technically joysticks are levers. Maybe. Well, there are some construction vehicles, well, construction machineries that actually use joysticks. For example, excavators. But then for excavators, you use joysticks in digging mode, not in driving mode. In driving mode, you use your feet or the handles, whatever you like. They've got handles attached to pedals. Actually, I do want to drive an excavator, well, operate an excavator sometime. Maybe I should get Construction Simulator 2. No. Construction Simulator 2018, that's what I meant. But then that game looks a bit gay, I don't know. I mean, I played Bus Simulator 18 before, don't really like it. Because it's a bit dodgy. Very dodgy. That's a bit off, let me move forward a bit. This is extremely interesting. I like reversing trailers. It just makes it so much funner. Unless when you're driving a manual lorry, in which case it's a pain. But on the subject of automated gearboxes in lorry driving, specifically reversing, there's something annoying about Euro Truck Simulator 2. Actually, there are lots of things annoying about it. But one thing I want to mention, which I've said a lot, is maneuver mode. So you know how in reality lorries have maneuver mode and possibly coaches that are equipped with automated gearbox. So what it basically does is, if you put it in maneuver mode, as soon as you release your accelerator, it opens the clutch. So equivalent to depressing the clutch pedal in manual. So that it doesn't become irritating, like what I'm doing right now. Right, now my vehicle is stopped. Stop the wipers. Let's have a look outside. That's nicely parked. Turn my lights off. And press enter. And then it starts loading. No animation, no human being whatsoever. If Construction Simulator and integrate with Euro Truck Simulator 2 and of course the Euro Truck Simulator 2 standard made to. Well, one thing about ETS 2 is that you can't use mouse control and walk around. That's a bad thing. But it doesn't really matter. But I mean, if you say you can drive a forklift to load your cargo, or load your curtainsider, that would be nice. How do forklifts fit in that gap? Maybe they load it from the back. Literally no idea. But then if you load it from the back, you open the doors before you reverse. Actually, that's quite good parking. I'm a good lorry driver. Anyway, that's enough of a look of this thing. Let's get the job going. Right, let's have a preview on the map. Birmingham on the M6, and then on these country roads, well, single carriageway to Sheffield. Actually, most of it is on single carriageway. Right, let's get going. Right, let me show you the engine start sound from the outside. Ready, steady. Nothing special really. If you really like the engine start sound, you can buy a Renault Trucks T and listen to the engine start sound at your own convenience in reality. Right, handbrake off. I think in reality the way you release handbrake is you press the button, not pull it. That would be apply. I don't know, it doesn't really matter because it does. Things a bit dark out there. Oh yes, and I think I also said this
Turn
before
left.
many times. The gearbox doesn't work properly in this game. It doesn't work as nicely as it is in reality, as in the control software.
Keep right, and then turn right.
So I've got steering
right.
axles at the back, which improves maneuverability. Oh yes, did I tell you about this lorry? I think in reality you can't get it with a manual gearbox. I think I said that, maybe.
Keep left, and then
Can't
turn
remember.
left. Turn left.
I don't think you can get this thing with a manual gearbox. Actually, many lorries nowadays don't come with the manual gearbox. Mercedes doesn't, except the Atego and the Arox. The Arox does come with a manual, probably because it's designed for a bit more tougher, operations. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because if you drive on dodgy roads, you probably want it an automated anyway. And the Atego, that's just a small lorry. It's a distribution one. Well, it's a little one. You don't have to use it as a distribution lorry. You can use it as a, say, mini excavator carrier or bin lorry, which is what I saw today. An Atego bin lorry. I disabled kick down, so it won't kick down. If I want to use a lower gear, I just put in manual mode. You see, that's something good about automated gearboxes in lorries. You can override the thing.
And then turn left.
So if you think that you can change gear better than the lorry does, which may be a case in Euro Truck Simulator 2, but it isn't the case in reality, you can put it in manual mode and then you decide to change gear yourself. Actually, in Euro Truck Simulator 2, you can set a shift up hint and shift down hint.
Keep right, and then continue
which is
straight
basically, when it is in automated, well, auto mode,
go straight on.
Automatic mode, you just press shift up hint to make it shift up. And then if it thinks it shouldn't shift up, then it will just shift down again. Or vice versa, because Euro Truck Simulator 2 is a bit dodgy.
Keep left.
Cruise control off now. Whoops. That was a bit...
Exit right.
That was a bit dodgy. Now the facility I'm using, the Logitech G920, I think. It comes with a pedal, of course, and I've got the gear selector. Maybe I should do a video of me driving a lorry in manual mode. If I do that, I will not drive a Renault or a Mercedes because they, in reality, don't come with a manual gearbox. But that's a whole other story. Well, although you can drive it with a shifter in the game. But basically the pedal on this thing, the brake pedal is a bit stiff when you press it more. So if you depress it a bit, it's alright. But if you depress it a lot, then it's a bit stiff. But the thing is, I don't know. But if you drive lorries or buses, you don't really need to go into the stiff bit. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But I heard that in racing it's sort of annoying because you quite often need to use full brake in racing games. To be honest, single carriageways are brilliant because it doesn't get boring because you always turn the wheel. Oh, by the way, I have tried driving lorries.
Get ready to turn left.
Manual as in H shifter, not sequential. It's a pain in the arse, but it's a lot of fun, to be honest. One thing tricky is that when you drive it in... Oh god, stupid gearbox. Now that should not happen in reality, so... I think I should have kick down activated. Come on. Now the problem with this game is that if you set shift up or shift down as you would use in sequential or in automatic to get in drive from neutral, you can't use the same buttons to do shift up hint or shift down hint as you would in automatic mode to tell the gearbox to go up a gear or down a gear. You can't map the same buttons for those, whereas in reality they are the same control. You've just got a lever on your right hand side behind your steering wheel in most cases. Well, that is the case in Scania and Mercedes and I think Renault as well. Maybe Volvo is a button on the lever, I think. But still, you can just use the same button to tell the gearbox to shift up or shift down in automatic mode, or if you put it in manual mode, you just do it sequentially using the same buttons. But in this game you can't, so it's a bit dodgy. Well, I mean, at the end of the day it's a game, isn't it? Right, where was I before? Oh, the Renault Magnum, which I presume is the predecessor of this Renault T range. So you see, I still don't like that you can't drive anything other than... You can't drive any lorry other than articulated lorries in this game. Do I have cruise control on? I think I did. Come on, more speed. Now the problem with kick down is it also works dodgily in this game. Because even if you kick down, when you take off, it shouldn't use every single gear. But in this game, it does use every single gear. Oh yes, back to the Artego and Aerox having manual gearboxes bit. The Antos and the Atros don't. Antos is just like a medium-sized lorry, even though some tractors are made out of them as well. Artego is like the smallest. And then you've got special lorries like the Iconic and the Unimog. They're just special. Like they use some sort of different body structure. What I found is that Artego you can't, Iconic you can't get in manual. Unimog you can't get manual. So what I found is that the larger the vehicle is, the less likely you are to get it with a manual gearbox. But I presume if you drive a vehicle that size, you probably don't want to spend your efforts changing gear or even deciding to use a certain gear. Why did I indicate? Stupid. Oh yes, something dodgy about driving a H shifter or manual, like manual in this game is that quite often I find that I want to move the camera and change gear at the same time, and then it becomes dodgy, which is another pain. So I suppose that it's easier to do it in reality. And also there aren't any buttons on the gear selector, gear lever, so I have to use two other buttons on my game controller to toggle the range and splitter switch. And also they're not switch buttons, they're just
get ready to turn left.
Buttons. Which is quite confusing.
Turn left.
Whereas in reality, you've got two switch buttons, well, switches, on your gear lever. One at the front, that's the range, and one on the left. Don't know if they put it on the right for right-hand drive. That's for splitter. So we're now in Sheffield. I think that's one of my few videos where I talked about stuff all the way through. I think my ability to talk and drive at the same time, aka YouTubing, is improving. Did I just run out of words to say? Oh yes, trailers. The trailer I have is an unbranded trailer of Euro Truck Simulator 2. It's a curtainsider, which I just talked about earlier. In this game, you can have Cone
Get ready to turn right.
trailer and Schwarzmüller. Is that Cone? Cone. Can't remember the name.
Turn
the blue,
right.
the white and blue one. And then there's also Schwarzmüller. Black Miller. Well, that's the brand of trailer, I think, from Deutschland. They're black and red, the colour of. Although I don't think black is a good colour to put on vehicles, which is why I don't really like the black bit. But I mean, black badges should be fine. I like black wheels though.
Keep right, and then turn right. Turn right.
Right. I was actually a wee bit
Safe
concerned
and
about
sound.
my arse hitting the vehicles on the left hand side when I made the turn, because you know, swinging arse. Right. Of course I'm going to park it. Not being a lazy bastard. This is going to be dodgy. Now there's another thing about driving with this steering wheel thing. Because I've mapped the buttons on the pedally buttons to look left and right, sometimes if I turn the steering wheel upside down, it's sort of weird, because then I start to confuse myself. There's something else about this steering wheel. It goes quite well with Euro Truck Simulator 2, which is that it only does 900 degrees or 450 on each side, which is just one cycle and a bit, that much. It matches almost exactly like the steering. Actually, it does matches exactly like the steering wheel in Euro Truck Simulator 2. Which is weird because I think lorries can turn more than that on their steering wheels. Buses certainly can, so it's a bit not a lot of rotation for buses if you drive this. If you drive a bus with this. Oh balls! I think I just hit that thing again. In reality, do they have like reversing cameras on the trailer? I think they probably do. I can steer this thing single-handed, no problem, even though you're not really supposed to. But that's probably because it's quite small compared to. It's probably good size for a car, but it's definitely too small for a lorry and a bus. Right, this is tricky. Whoops. I think I just went too much to the left. Let me move forward a bit. I know I often get up the green thing that tells me that I'm already parked well, but from what I'm seeing in my mirror, I usually it's got a low. It's got a low level of requirement for parking well, at least lower than that of what I require. Unless sometimes when I play games, I want to be lazy, so I just leave it there, or even I sometimes skip it, but probably never when I make a video. I think that looks almost about right. I'm a bit too much to the left. Yep, that is currently brilliant. Yeah, I am. Oh, actually, I'm alright. I think I am still slightly to the left. That is brilliant. And turn off my engine, turn off my lights, and press enter to unload the stuff. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Good night.